Okay, we've got our recording going. We're getting started on our Placester 101 class. This is our basic Placester setup class. This is not the more advanced where you get into custom pages and blogging and things like that. This is the basics of getting your site launched, getting information into the site, and getting it ready for clients to start using. So to preface this, before we get started, I did send a message about this just a little bit ago, but if you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, the Placester interface will not load in Internet Explorer. Microsoft Edge works just fine. That's the newer browser from Microsoft. But the older one that was retired about 2 years ago, Internet Explorer, no matter which version it is, Placester will not load in that browser. So you would want to upgrade to a more modern browser. If you're using Windows 10, definitely use Microsoft Edge. That's just fine. But if you're using Windows 7 or 8, Edge isn't available, so we would recommend Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox instead. If you're on a Mac, Safari works just fine. It's just Internet Explorer that does not work with the Placester interface. So let me go ahead and get rid of our slideshow here. So for working on our Placester website, we actually access the backend, the administration of the site through mykw.kw.com, through our KW intranet here. It's not accessed by logging directly into your website. You don't go to the home page and click login in the top right. Instead, you're going to log into your mykw.kw.com homepage. So go ahead and do that if you're not already logged into mykw. I'll give you guys just a second to do that. All right, so once we're on our MyKW homepage, up in our top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, then we'll click on this third one down, which is KW Websites. And on this page, we should have a big red button that says Go to my website. If you don't have this button, there's a couple of things that need to be done in order for you to be able to work on your website. The two requirements for the Placester website to be available on your MyKW account is that A, your KW email has to exist, your @kw.com email address, it has to exist. You don't necessarily have to use it, you don't ever have to log into it if you don't want to, it just has to be there in order for Placester to set up your account. And then the other requirement is that your MLS ID needs to be added to the KW white pages on your profile. Unfortunately, that's not something we can do for you, nor is it something that you can do for yourself. Only the MCA at your office has that capability. So you'd want to contact your MCA and have them add your MLS ID to the KW white pages. Now, once they do that, there's actually a delay of roughly 24 hours between when the MLS ID is added and when this button shows up on your MyKW backend here to go and access your site. So unfortunately, if you don't have this button right now, even if your MLS ID was added into the white pages right this second, you wouldn't have this button in the time of this class. So what I would recommend is for you to revisit this recording. All of these classes are recorded, our Placester 101s and 201s, at slmtraining.com. Or what you can do is have us set your website up for you. And I'm going to send you guys the link to where we can do that for you. This is one of the free services we offer through your Market Center subscription. You don't have to pay us for this. Your Market Center is already doing that. So if you'd like to have us set up your Placester site rather than you trying to take care of it yourself, we can definitely do that for you through that link that I just sent you. If you're watching this on a recording later, just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get you the link for that as well. So if you do have your red Go to my website button, we're going to go ahead and click on that. And it may take a second or two for the Placester interface to load. There we go. So now we are here in Placester. Now I do want to point out the last couple of weeks, Placester has had an issue for newer agents where even though the site says it's ready to be set up and you have that red button, for whatever reason the Placester interface won't load even if you're not using Internet Explorer. It'll give you an error, please wait 24 hours or something like that. If you're seeing that error, reach out to Placester support directly at support-kw@placester.com. I'm going to send you guys that email address here. If you're seeing that error message rather than this dashboard here for your site, definitely reach out to Placester and they should be able to launch that site for you and get it ready on your account. That's something that we've been running into for several hundred agents over the last couple of weeks, and it's causing us actually several delays when we're setting up Placester sites. So if you're seeing that, definitely reach out to Placester. If you are loaded into the Placester interface here, this is about where the problems stop. You should be able to keep working from here on out. So once we're here in our Placester dashboard, the first thing that we want to do is over on the left under Quick Actions, we want to click on Launch Site. If you don't have the Launch Site option, instead you should have a link that says View Live Site. That means your site is already launched. If you do have Launch Site, just click on that and that will launch your site. It's just one click. You don't have to choose any settings. You don't have to type anything in. You just click Launch and it's launched. Once you click on Launch, where it takes us here is the list of our sites in our Placester account. You can access this also up here in the top right by clicking on this grid of 9 squares and then clicking on Sites right here. That will take you to this page here. Now this is showing 2 sites in Scott's account. Most agents are just going to have 1 site. The exceptions to that are every once in a while we do see Placester sites where an agent just somehow randomly has 2 sites and they're both live and you can use both of them. You can even use them for separate what's that called? Separate purposes, maybe one for luxury, one for regular residential, something like that. But additional, what are they called? Exceptions to this is if you're a member of the commercial division, you get an additional Placester site here. It would list it right in this spot. And if you're a member of the farm and ranch division, you would get an additional site here. It used to be that if you were a member of the luxury division, you also got an additional site, but they changed that recently to if you're a member of the luxury division, instead you'll get a new theme for your residential site. You'll get the luxury theme, and then you would need to change the settings to show luxury listings on the homepage and things like that. So if you're a member of commercial or farm and ranch, you'll get an additional site. If you wanted another site on your own, you would actually have to pay for that. I think they start at like $10 a month, and you would click your plus sign right here and go through that process. If you want more information about that, we would recommend contacting Placester directly. We actually don't have any information about setting up an additional site because we really don't know much about anything that costs you money. We only work on the things that KW International provides through your pre-existing technology dues. So once you're here on your site list here and your site is launched, we're going to click on Edit Site over on the right. You're not going to see a title for your site right here because you haven't put in a title yet. We're going to click on Edit Site for our site. So where we're going to spend all of our time today is here in Site Settings. That's what this page is right here. We're under Site Settings. If you want to look at pages, blog posts, testimonials, or areas, that's where you would look into our Placester 201 class. That is also recorded at slmtraining.com. We'll also be doing that next Wednesday at the same time, about 1 o'clock Eastern. So we're going to scroll down just a little bit under our listings section, and we're going to click on IDX integration. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange, and that's the system that connects your website to the MLS so that listing data can be displayed on your site. So IDX means the MLS feed. So in here, you may have one or more selections to choose for your IDX. By default, what's going to be selected is the KWLS. That's the Keller Williams Listing Service. And that means that only KW listings are going to be available to be found on your site. No Coldwell Banker, Locry Like, no any other brokerages would be able to show their listings on your site, only KW listings. So what you would want to do instead is select your actual local MLS that you're a member of if it's listed here. Now, if your MLS is not listed, what needs to happen is you need to submit a request for that IDX connection to your MLS. There's a different process for each MLS and each market center, so we actually can't cover that here in this class. So you would want to contact your market center leadership to see what that process looks like. We do set up IDX for a handful of offices, so check with your market center to see if we do that for your office. But for most offices, you would want to contact them, and they should have the paperwork or whatever other process on hand there for you to set up your IDX. Once that IDX process has been set up and you're all taken care of, your MLS should show here in this list to select, and it'll have over on the right, use this MLS. I'm going to switch over to the KWLS to show you guys what that looks like. This is what's going to be selected by default. If your MLS shows up here in the list, click on use this MLS on the right, and that will select your actual local MLS to show listings on your website. One thing to note is that pretty often what we see is for region right here, in parentheses, it says none. So if I were to click save here, if it said none in this parentheses, nothing would happen. This page would stay exactly like it is. It wouldn't even show an error. It just doesn't do anything. So if it says none in this region, you have to click edit just to the right, and in this drop down right here, select your actual service state that your MLS covers. We're just going to leave this as Arkansas because we're connected to the Cooperative Arkansas MLS here. So once you've got that region selected and your MLS selected, then you would want to click Save down here at the bottom right. Now, I do want to point out a couple of additional things that you can basically dismiss, just forget they exist. The request a new integration here, some MLSs do want you to do this online. You want to request your new integration through Placester through their online service. The majority of the time, it's actually some paperwork, again, that your office would have on hand there. Double check with your market center about what that process looks like. They can tell you to do this or via the paperwork there. Also, ignore this checkbox right here. I don't even know why this is an option. Don't show MLS listings on my site. Honestly, I don't know why that's an option. Just ignore it. We're going to click Save down here in the bottom right to apply our changes. One big thing about that green Save button, that's for everything that you change on the site. Any changes you make to the site, you have to click the green Save button or they won't be applied. You will have lost your work if you exit it. Underneath IDX integration, we've got global filters and featured listings. Before we click into either one of these, I want to explain the difference here. Global filters, because I'm explaining the difference, because these actually look very similar when you're working inside them. But global filters controls what listings are possible to be found on your site when they look on the listings search page. So if you narrow things down too much in global filters, people probably won't be able to find the listings that they want to find on your website. So say if I put into global filters, I only wanted to show listings up to 300K. If someone went to your listings search page and they were looking for a home at 350K, they wouldn't be able to find any. So be very careful with what you put into global filters. Underneath that, we have featured listings, and this one you want to get a lot more specific with because this doesn't control what's found on the listings search page. It controls what shows on your home page as featured properties. It's going to be right underneath your search bar, no matter which theme you choose. It's right under the search bar, and depending on which theme you choose, it can show anywhere from 4 to 16 listings in that section. So you're telling that section, I want to show listings maybe from this particular neighborhood or maybe above this particular price point, or I only want to show my listings, or I only want to show my office's listings on the home page. So you want to get more specific with featured listings. So we're going to start with global filters just to show you what that looks like. And then for global filters here, you've got your options here where you can choose minimum beds, minimum baths, minimum price, max price, and zip. And you can also add additional criteria down here at the bottom in this drop down. You would just choose, whatever else you want to add. And these are going to be different based on your MLS, which fields your MLS has for the listings that are entered there. You may want to do, I don't know, new construction, and that's a yes checkbox or something, or whether it has a pool, things like that. You may want to, I don't know, what city is it in? Say you work, your MLS covers a large metropolitan area, like what's in Arkansas, Little Rock. Say you didn't want to work in Little Rock, you wanted to work in everywhere but Little Rock. You would go to city and add that. And in this box here, you would type the names of the cities you do want to work in. There's not an exclusive way to remove Little Rock listings from the site. What you would do is I want to add listings from this city, this city, this city that I do want to work in. You don't put in what cities you don't want to work in. You put in the cities you do want to work in. And if that seems clear as mud, just shoot us an email. We can explain that a little bit further. Again, for the global filters, we don't want this to be too narrow. Most times I recommend just leaving it on all listings, just check this box and save it. But if you do want to filter it down by maybe a specific zip code or a city that you want to work in and you don't want people to find listings outside of that zip code or that listing, you could definitely do this in this spot. Once you've made those changes, you would make sure to scroll down to the bottom and click on Save to apply your changes. And since I didn't make any changes, this is still just going to show all listings. Underneath that, we've got featured listings. And again, this is the listings that show on your home page. Oh, and it looks like I didn't clear this out from last week. Apologies. Let me clear this out and resave it just to show you guys what it looks like fresh. Okay, so for featured listings, we've got a couple of options here. Oh, by the way, I don't want to... Okay, so someone says I'm not able to access global filters or featured listings features. So it probably says something about an IDX subscription is required for this. You would want to go back to your IDX integration section and make sure you select an MLS. Even if it's just the KWLS, you have to select one of those. And now if that doesn't work for you, feel free to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can look into that for you. It's not something we can cover during the time of this class because we have to move pretty quickly, but go back to your your IDX integration, select an MLS, and you should be able to do the global filters in the featured listings. If you still can't, shoot us an email. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so before I cover featured listings, actually, there's one more thing I want to point out in global filters that I want you to ignore. This specific listings tab here, you would search for specific listings you want people to be able to find on your site. You would need to manually manage this. As listings come on and off the market that you want people to be able to find on your site, you'd have to come in here every single day and manually click a listing here, add it to the right. Only listings on this list on the right would be able to be found on your website. Not recommended. Definitely don't want to recommend this for you. Just wanted to show you that it's there. You can do, oh yeah, so I made some changes and it's asking me whether I want to save it. No, I don't. I'm just going to continue. You can do the same thing on featured listings, and that's a lot less not recommended, but if you can automate things, that's usually the best route. So we're going to ignore specific listings for the time being. If you want to learn more about that, definitely shoot us an email. We can get you some information about that. But for the most part, you want to use filtered listings, so it will automatically add and remove listings as they come on and off the market that meet your criteria. So here in featured listings, let's say I wanted to work in a historic neighborhood pretty often. Now remember, this is not limiting what people can find on my site. This is just limiting what shows on the homepage. So say I really like this historic neighborhood. I want to work with these homes a lot, and I want to show these older homes on my homepage. And so what I would want to do is in my add search criteria here, I'd want to do this drop down here, and then I'd choose neighborhood. And once I've got neighborhood selected, I go over here on the right and click add. And then in this box for neighborhood, I would type the name for my neighborhood. I'm going to do, okay, we're just going to do an S here. And I'm just going to pick one of these neighborhoods. Let's pretend Conway Southeast is a historic neighborhood. We'll pretend that. I don't know whether it is or not. And then once I've chosen my neighborhood, now only listings from this neighborhood are going to show on my homepage. Now, say I wanted to work with the oldest listings, the oldest by year built listings in that neighborhood. I'd want to sort these by, what is that, year built oldest. So maybe listings from the 1800s, that's what I want to work with most often. I would show those on my homepage. Now, say instead I wanted to work with brand new construction. What I could do is remove this neighborhood here. It wouldn't matter where that brand new construction is. I would just change this default sort from year built newest, or excuse me, to year built newest. That's always going to show me brand new homes on the homepage. Let's say I want to work in a luxury neighborhood. I would do the same thing as for that historic neighborhood. Go to neighborhood, do add, choose my luxury neighborhood in here. Let's pretend Lone Oak School District is a luxury neighborhood. I know it's not, but whatever. And then for my default sort, I may want to do price highest. Now this is the default sort for your homepage if you don't make any changes. It's always going to show the highest price listings in your entire MLS if you don't make any changes in this section. So let's pretend I'm just going to leave it that way. This is a luxury neighborhood, and I want to show the highest price listings in that neighborhood. We'll click on search down here, and it's going to show me a preview of what types of listings are going to show on my homepage here. It says there are about 111 that could cycle through there as they come on and off the market. Now, it's not going to like slideshow them. Only 4 are going to show on the homepage, and those 4 are going to stay there until they come off the market. So once we've got our featured listings section the way that we want it, we're going to come down here and click Save. And now if I go up here and click on View Live Site, that'll take me over to Scott's site, and we can see a preview of what that featured listings section is going to look like. Scroll down here, and this is showing me the highest price listings in that neighborhood in the MLS. Don't know. Okay, here's the prices. These look to be commercial developments. You may want to narrow down your featured listings to be residential versus commercial or residential versus land. It looks like the highest priced actual residential listing in there is about $550K, and that's what's showing on my homepage here. Coming back to our Placester interface, there's one more section here under listings that's open house info. We're not going to cover this because this is for a single property site. Your website is not a single property site. A single property site is something that you would contact Placester directly about setting up. This is a site where only one listing's information would be able to be found on this site. So say you had a luxury property, a $2-3 million property, and you wanted to have 123mainstreet.com as the address for the website for that one property. property. That's what this section would be for. If you're hosting an open house for that one particular listing, it would show that as a pop-up on the homepage. Since this is not a single property site, we're going to ignore this section. Underneath that, we've got our site design section, and we are going to cover pretty much everything, or excuse me, we are going to cover everything in this section. We're just going to go from top to bottom. Theme selection is where we can choose the look and feel of our site. This isn't a drag and drop site builder. It's not like Wix. It's not like Google Sites. It's not like, WordPress. You're not really just dragging things around in order to arrange them. So if there's not something that you want on the homepage and it's not available in any of these themes, unfortunately, it can't be added to the homepage. You can't add your own widgets. You can't add your own feeds. You can't add your own content. You can only choose from these themes, unfortunately. There are 8 themes that are available to KW agents. Everybody else only gets 6. Because you're a KW agent, you get 2 KW specific themes. One is this Madison that's selected by default, and then the other is the Madison Metro. It's more of a white clean theme. So you can choose either one of those, or you can scroll through any of the other 6 here and see if there's one that you like. One major thing to point out about choosing your theme is you're not choosing your theme based on this picture back here. The picture behind or above the search bar, you control. You can change that picture out for anything you want. So you're choosing your theme based on the colors and the arrangement, not based on the picture that's on the home page. So say I really like the Fremont here, but I don't like this picture of this luxury backyard with the pool. I want to show more of a mid-priced home. I can definitely do that. I can choose this theme and change this picture out. Underneath that, let me go back to Madison just to show you what that looks like for KW agents. Underneath that, most themes do have an option to choose some colors. If I choose one of these colors down here, it'll be changed in this preview here. You'll see what it changes on the site. It'll change this header section up at the top. It'll change this button, some of the text on the site, and you can change this anytime that you want to, as many times as you want to. Underneath that, for the Madison, you have this options exclusively. Only the Madison has this option. You can choose either a solid color header up at the top here, or you can show a white header with accents of this color that you've chosen here. Changing this isn't going to change the preview, but you'll be able to see roughly what it will look like right here. I'm going to change this to my white with my colored, what are they called, accents here. That's going to change the color of these buttons and the home hover here and some of the text. Underneath that, on the Madison and the Madison Metro, you have the option to change what this text right here says. Now, you are only changing what it says. You can't change the color, can't change the size, can't change the font, can't change anything else about it. You're just changing the actual wording of it. So we usually put something like the best place to find your home. You could do your home search starts here. That's what I'm going to do here. Oops. Something like that. You can also leave it blank if you want to. Now, there has been an error going around where if you clear this out after you've already changed something, it'll do something like the quick brown fox right there. If you are running into that, definitely reach out to Placester support using that email that I sent you guys just a little bit ago. Support-kw@placester.com. Once you've made your changes to your theme that you want, and again, you can change this anytime on a whim and it will be immediately applied to your site. There's no waiting on this. Once you've made your changes, make sure to click on Save down here at the bottom to apply them. Underneath that, we've got our slideshow section. This is where you're controlling which images are going to show on the home page for your site. Oh, it's not going to let me delete that because it's selected. Just a second. We got a little bit behind and I wasn't able to change things back the way that they were supposed to be. Okay, so here on the slideshow page, first thing I want to point out is up at the top here, there's this link that says, please visit this help article for image resizing tips and to learn ideal slideshow dimensions for each Placester theme. I definitely encourage you, click on that link, go to that page, learn from Placester exactly what the size is for the slideshow images for the theme that you've chosen. Now, I do want to point out, it doesn't show the Madison or the Madison Metro themes. And so for that, the dimensions that it would need is 1600 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall, 1600 wide, 600 tall. And then the rest of that page would still apply. You can change the image dimensions and all that. You can also come down here, create your own slideshow by clicking on this plus sign here. You can choose any of their pre-existing slideshows here. There's about 5 or 6 of them that they have available for you to choose from. You can also update any of these that they provided by clicking on, we're going to do select up up here on this top one. And you can upload a new image in place of this one. You can remove images. You can change the caption out that shows in the bottom left corner of the image. That'll be down here in the bottom left. You can also apply links to each of these individual images. Now, I didn't mute everyone else. Apologies. There we go. Now I've got everybody muted. Sorry about that, Todd. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so the maximum number of images you can have in your slideshow is 5. You can have as few as 1. You can have one static image that shows behind your search bar on your home page and it won't swipe through, or you can have up to 5 or anything in between. No more than 5 images on your slideshow. If you want to show different images at different times of the year or something, you might want to create multiple slideshows and just switch between them switch between them when whatever time of year comes around. You can have like a summer, spring, winter, autumn slideshow. If you're hosting maybe some kind of charity event, you can add an image, a banner about that to your slideshow anytime that you want. Pretty easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to close this, go back to our slideshow here, and I'm going to create a new custom slideshow using our plus sign right here. I'm going to name this class test right here, and I can upload up to 5 images here, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've got some pre-downloaded images here. I do want to point out these images here. I found them using our video that shows how to find images to use on your slideshow. You can't just go to Google necessarily and grab any image that you want. So most of those images are going to be protected by copyright, and the owners of those images could come after you for fees for using their image without their permission. So if you want information about how to get images for your slideshow, for anywhere on your site really, that you don't have to pay for, we do have a video specifically for that. And if you want to shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com, we can get you that information there. Okay, so I've got my 5 images uploaded here, and you'll notice most of these, some of these aren't going to be the right dimensions. You'll notice especially this, lighthouse here is much, much, much taller than it is wide. It's not 1600 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall. So what's going to happen is the site is going to cut off everything except the middle 600 pixels. So it's going to cut it off right about here and right about here. I'll show you what that'll look like on the home page. So when you're uploading images for your site, don't be surprised when it cuts off the top and bottom. It has to be 1600 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall, or whatever the dimensions that that page I pointed out earlier points out for your specific theme that you've chosen. I'm going to go ahead and save this so it gets applied to the site, and then I'll refresh the home page here. There we go. Now we've got our new slideshow images applied here. This one's showing just about right. Let me go back here. It is much wider than it is tall, so it's showing everything that I want to. On this picture with the boots on the dock, you remember there's some boats up here and there's a dock down here, but it cut them off because this image is too tall. So again, much, much wider than it is tall. Go over to my lighthouse image here. Again, it cut off a large part of the top and a large part of the bottom. You can barely tell that this is a lighthouse. So again, much wider than it is tall on your slideshow images. Okay, where am I? Down here on certifications, you can show up to 6 certifications on your site. Let me resave this. Scott did a class and I wasn't able to clear this out in time. Okay. So you can show up to 6 certifications on your site. So if you've got your CRS or your CRPS or your GRE, whatever certifications, you can show those on your site. Depending on the theme you've chosen, they're usually going to be somewhere down at the bottom of your site, so they're not going to be real prominent up top. And then also, if you're an agent in the States, you have to legally, by law, show the Equal Housing Opportunity logo on your site. And then if you're a member of a board of realtors, you also have to show the National Association of Realtors logo on your site. So that leaves a space of 4 for you to show on your site. If you're outside of the States, these 2 aren't required. So once you've got your certifications selected, and you can tell that by the blue border around them, you would make sure to come down and click Save on your site. And then if I go back to the home page, scroll down to the bottom, here they are, my Equal Housing and my National Association of Realtors. Underneath that, we've got our social networks section here, and I leave this filled out just to make sure to show you guys what this looks like. In this section, in the box over here on the right, you'll notice it starts with the beginning of the address for that site automatically over here on the left. And then in the box on the right, it only wants the part after this first slash here. That's why it shows the first part of the site in this section on the left. If you paste in the full http://facebook.com/ScottLeroy Marketing in this box over here, the Facebook link on your site is not going to work. It only wants the part after the slash. Same for Twitter, same for LinkedIn. Now I do want to point out LinkedIn has some additional stuff after this first slash. It still wants the stuff after the second slash as well. You just paste in what's after the first slash. Same for YouTube. There's going to be additional stuff after this first slash and a second slash here. It wants everything after the first slash. Now, if you need help finding these public social media links to use on your website, I'm sending you guys a link to a video right now to where we help you find those. We go through each of the major social media, what are they called, sites there, and show you how to find the links that need to go in these boxes here. Really easy to find. Once you've got those put in there and you don't have the full http:// all that fun stuff in these boxes here, make sure you click on Save down at the bottom so that they can get applied to your site. And on the Madison theme, those are shown up here in the top left. On other themes, they're going to show in different places. They may move them over to the right. They may move them maybe towards the center of the page. On the Fremont theme, the one that I liked, it actually puts them in the ribbon that drops down on the left here. Depending on your theme, they're going to be in different places. Underneath that, we've got our search form. Now, a couple of things about the search form. If you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, the only option that you're going to have here is the Omnibox with Auto Suggest. What that means is that this is, instead of a traditional drop-down style search box, this is going to be something more like you see on like Zillow or Realtor.com, where they can type in the address, they can type in 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet, at least 500K or at least 200K, or max 700K or something like that. They can type in their entire search string in this box rather than having drop downs where they choose drop down for price, drop down for zip, drop down for beds, drop down for baths. It's up to you which one you want to choose. Just note that on the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, the only choice you have is the Omnibox. So you would just click Next and Save to make sure to apply that on your site. Now, to choose one of the more traditional drop-down type search boxes, you would actually have to come back up to theme selection and choose something besides the Madison or the Madison Metro. So I'm going to choose the Toronto here. Make sure to save that. And now if I come back down to search form, now I've got some additional options. On this first page here, you're just choosing which drop-down do I want to be first, price, city, zip, or neighborhood. It's going to show all 4 of those. It's just which one is going to be first. Most common is price, so we're just going to select that. I do want to point out on most of the other themes, you do also still have the option of the Omnibox. It just also opens up these other options for the drop-downs. Underneath that, we're going to click on Next. And now we are choosing how many additional drop-downs do we want to show on the listing search page. On that first one we chose, that's on the home page. Right here we're choosing goes on these listing search page. I'm going to choose this basic one here with not the maximum number of drop-downs here to show you what that looks like on the listing search page. So I'm going to save that, come back to Scott's site and refresh it, and these changes are applied immediately. There we go. We've got our new theme with our new search box right here. If I choose a minimum price of, I don't know, 150K. Oh, wow, I scrolled a lot. There we go. Max price of 750K. Search that. It's going to take me over to my listing search page. And now I've got those additional drop downs, that basic search box that I, chose on that second step for choosing our search box. Now, one last thing about the search form is that if you choose one of the different themes and you choose one of the drop-down based search boxes, and then you decide, I want to go back to the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, and you save that, if I come back to the site homepage here, the search box is going to look really funny. It's trying to do the drop-downs here like on one of the other search form types, but it looks really weird. They're way, way wide, and the search bar is much wider than those boxes. So what you would need to do is come back to your search form here and resave the Omnibox to change it back to the actual Omnibox for the Madison theme. Ta-da! There we go. Dropping down to our menu section, this is where we're going to get a little bit more interactive. Let me save this here. Okay, so when you open up your menu, you should have a couple of options already in the menu: the home, the listing search, about, blog, and contact. We're going to add a couple of additional menu items to your site. To do that, we're going to come down to this drop down at the bottom, and we're going to choose the first one. We're going to do, it looks like he removed that page. Give me just a second to go re-add that page. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to go back to site settings, back into the menu. Okay, so you should have 5 things in your menu by default: home, listing search, about, blog, and contact. We're going to add one additional page here. This one should have been created with your site by default. It's called Your Favorite Listings. When we click on that and then click on Add, that's going to add that to the menu there. And what Your Favorite Listings is it's when a client signs up for an account on your site and they favorite a property. If they click on this menu item, it'll show them a page full of those properties that they've favorited. So this is your as in the client's favorite listings, not your as in the agent's favorite listings. You can set up a page like that using your featured listing settings, but we cover that in our Placester 201 class instead, so definitely check that out. The other thing we're going to add to our menu here, oh, by the way, before we do that, you can also rearrange the menu by clicking and dragging. I can move this up and down. You see this empty spot with the dashed line around it. When I let go of my mouse button, now that's the new position of this Your Favorite Listings here. You can also nest menu items under each other to make drop downs. So if I hover, click and drag Your Favorite Listings and hover it over listing search, you see that dotted line is now around listing search instead. And when I let go of the mouse button, Your Favorite Listings is now indented under listing search. That means when I save this and I go to the home page, Your Favorite Listings is going to show in a drop-down menu underneath listing search. Now we're going to add another menu item here, and we're going to choose custom URL. And we're going to click on add, and this is where you can add a link to anywhere. You can link to your Facebook, even if you've already got your Facebook link in the top left under the social media section. You can link to maybe your partner's website. You can link to your office's website. You can link to maybe the tourist organization in your town. You can link to, I don't know, your military installment in town, whatever. You can link to anywhere, even inside your own site here by creating a custom URL menu link. What we're going to do is let's see, I don't have Blogger Canada. MLS is saying panic. Okay, so someone had a question about not having the default pages and your IDX isn't set up. Definitely shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and include your MyKW username and password, and we'll look into that for you. There was a period about the middle of last year where a lot of new agent sites didn't have those default pages when the site was created. We can create those for you really easily. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Excuse me. Where was I? So we're going to add a link to our branded KW app to our menu. So we're going to label it maybe download my app or search homes on the go or my app or something like that. I like search homes on the go. Oops. Most of the time when we add the link for you, we'll add it as a free home search app. You can put whatever you want to as the label. That's just the text that's going to show in your menu. Under that, for the URL, this is where we're going to paste in our branded app link. And to find that, it's pretty easy. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage here, and that should still be open in a new tab, or excuse me, in an old tab. Going to click on our MyKW logo just to go back to the home page. And then in our eEdge control panel, under the My Marketing section, we're going to click on the plus sign here and go over to Manage eAgency Website. Where was I there? And this is where I'm going to have to leave you. I don't actually have an eAgency interface here under Scott's account because he's not an agent. Once you're inside your eAgency administration, over on the left is going to be section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. You're going to click on section 4.0, and that's going to drop down 4.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You'll click on section 4.5, which is mobile property search. And over on the right side of that page should be your branded app link. If it's not there, choose your office in excuse me, make sure to choose your office in the drop down at the top of the page. And then once you've chosen that, your app link should show up to the right. It's going to be in the format http://app.kw.com/kw number. That KW number is unique to you. That's your own personal branded app page. Nobody else has the same code. So you're going to copy that full address, the whole http://app.kw.com/ and then your code. Copy that whole thing. Once you've got that copied, we're going to come back over to our Placester interface and we'll paste that into the URL box here. Excuse me. And then it's going to have something like that for your app code. I'm going to leave that off there because that's not an actual app page. Once you've got that pasted in there, the tooltip is optional. I'm going to show you what a tooltip is. There we go. The tooltip is optional. This is what shows when somebody hovers the mouse over that menu item. We're going to go ahead and click Save just so I can show you what this looks like in the menu. We'll come back to our home page and refresh that. Gosh. There we go. So now we've got our new menu item for Search Homes on the Go, and we've also got under Search for Properties, Your Favorite Listings. That's that one that we nested underneath the property search page. We're going to click on Search Homes on the Go, and that'll take us over to the app download page. If you pasted in your app code correctly, this should show your picture and your name in the center here. If it doesn't, just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can help you with that. Oh, I was supposed to have sent you guys something a little bit ago about IDX. If you're unclear about how IDX works and why there is IDX for your app and for eEdge and for WolfNet and for Placester and all these different names, definitely check out that video there. We explain the 3 IDX feeds each agent needs. Okay, under menu, we just finished up with menu. We're going to come down here to site info, and I'm going to go ahead and clear all this stuff out just so that we start from scratch all the same. Oops. Okay, so coming back up to the top, for the brand name here, this is what's going to show big over here on the left if you're using the Madison theme. If you're using a different theme, it's still going to be big. It just may put it somewhere different on the page. So this is the brand name for the site. You can make this pretty much anything that you want. There just has to be something in this box. So we usually do like Scott Leroy Marketing. When we set up sites for you, we'll usually put in your name here. If you're a member of a team, you might want to put your team name here, especially if you're the lead agent. Underneath that, for your tagline, this is your tagline, motto, catchphrase, what's it called, slogan. You can put that in here. When we set up sites for you, we normally put in your realtor for life. You can do that if you want. You do need to make sure to include, make sure realtor is all caps and you include the registered symbol there. If you're not sure how to do that, just shoot us an email. We can get that put in for you really easily. Underneath that, for upload logo, by default, it's going to have a plain KW logo here. You can also upload your personal logo in this spot. You can upload your Market Center's logo in this spot. You would do that by clicking Upload File right here. We ignore Select a KW logo because for a long time it just wasn't working. It wouldn't load. And then when it does load, not all of the KW office logos are here in this section. So instead, it's easier just to get your office's logo and upload it here manually. You can also remove the logo. You don't have to show the logo on the home page there. Underneath that, we've got a couple of checkboxes here for whether we want to display the logo or the name and the tagline. Let me go back here. I'm going to put the plain KW logo here, and it's up to you whether you want to display your name and tagline or your logo that you upload right here. A lot of offices have a compliance requirement that your Market Center logo does have to be showing on your website, so you do want to make sure to check that box there. Underneath that, we've got an option to upload a favicon. The favicon shows in one place. It's up here in the browser tab as this little icon that shows on the left, and it also shows in your bookmarks bar right here. Placester's favicon looks like this stylized geometric P here. Here's the KW favicon right here. Our site doesn't have a favicon currently, and so this is what it's going to show in the browser tab if you don't upload a favicon. This is not the place to upload your picture. It's going to show really, 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 really tiny, 16 pixels by 16 pixels, really, really minuscule, and your face won't show up very well. So if you've got a very simple logo, that's a good place to put that there, your favicon in that spot. If you want want, we can send you the file for the KW favicon that I'm going to upload right here. We can send you this so you can put that on your site really easily. Underneath that, contact details, pretty self-explanatory, your name, your email, your phone. For our name here, we're going to do Scott Leroy, email scott@scottleroymarketing.com, phone number 321-236-2568. And then under here is your picture. This is where you upload your picture. So we're going to upload a nice pretty picture of Scott right here. Underneath that, office information. Again, pretty self-explanatory. What's your office name? Oops. Usually Keller Williams Realty will suffice, but a lot of offices have a compliance requirement that you show their actual DBA name on your site instead. So double check with your market center for what name is supposed to be shown on your site. Under that, for email, when we set up sites for you, we just put in your email and your phone number under the office information here. My own personal feeling about it is that in order to see this office information, someone that's visiting your site has to have scrolled past at least 3 other ways to contact you in order to see your office information. So if they're trying to contact your office, they're really actually trying to contact your office. They don't want to try to reach you again. So for me, I would recommend putting your office's information in the email and phone number box here. Excuse me. Now, your office may have a compliance requirement that it requires that your office information be shown there. But most of the time when we set up agents on their Placester sites, we put their own contact information in here. My philosophy is I don't want my office to lose that deal, lose that profit share just because I'm on the other line with another client or I'm showing a house and I can't answer the phone. So I would put my office's information in here. But I am just going to copy and paste in this information for now because this is what we do when we set up sites for you guys. Oops. And then again, office address, pretty self-explanatory. Something like that. Underneath that, we've got a meta title and meta description. This is going to be the main overarching title and description for your website. What the title and description are, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because we're running out of time, but the meta title shows in 2 places. One is up here in the browser tab where it says this Scott Leroy Marketing Orlando Real Estate Team. When I hover over it in the browser tab here, that's the meta title here. We're telling the browser what to show here. It's also, if you go to a search engine, it's this blue link that the search engine displays that links to your page. So you're telling the search engine what to display in this box here. You've got a soft limit of roughly 55 characters in this box. It's not a bad thing if your meta title is longer than 55 characters. Just know that on the search engine, eventually it will truncate it with a ... which it's not showing on this homepage here. There we go. It turns it into a ... right here after roughly 55 characters. Each search engine is a little different, but it's around 55 characters. So you want your most important, most specific information to be up front. So your name, probably. Maybe your contact information. A lot of agents put their phone number in their meta title. It's up to you whether you want to or not. What people are going to be able to do on your site. And then maybe your company name. There we go. So my guess is 55 characters is roughly about the middle of Keller. So it's for sure going to show my name, my phone number, and what we're doing on my site. And then it's okay if it cuts off some of the Keller Williams Realty, not a big deal. Underneath that, our meta description is the gray text that shows underneath that blue link on search engines. This is the only place that it shows, and you want to make sure that actual real-life people can read this. This is not the place to load up quote-unquote meta tags. That used to be the case maybe 10 years ago, but search engines have gotten a lot more sophisticated, so meta tags really aren't in fashion anymore. And in fact, they can hurt your search engine rankings if your meta tags don't have anything to do with the actual content of your site. So you want this to be a helpful, human-readable description of what's going to be found on your site before someone clicks on that search engine link where you show up in search results. So you've got a little bit more leeway here. You've got 155 characters before it starts truncating it with that ... So you can be a little bit more verbose. Something like Scott Leroy is your local real estate expert. Search for homes and properties in and around Orlando, Florida. Or you could change that to in Orlando, Winter Park, maybe name another city. I know Orlando and Winter Park are right next to each other, and I know there's another name there that I always forget. And the surrounding areas. Now that may or may not be around 155 characters, but it is a nice, short, helpful description for what you're going to find on this site. Once you've got all this information put in here, make sure you click on Save down at the bottom, and I'll show you where all this goes on the site. So here's that logo we uploaded. It's going to show up here in the top left if you're using the Madison theme. Here's our brand name. Here's that tagline that we chose. Over here is our contact information, the name, email, and phone number. There's not a way to display your email address in plain text. It's always going to show this email me link, and that's to protect you from getting spam. If it showed your email address in plain text, spam bots could comb your site and get your email address and send you spam. So the email me link is what's going to show there instead of your email address. And if we scroll to the very, very bottom, this is the only place that your office information shows. And in order to get here, they scrolled past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways of contacting you, okay? So like I said, my own personal philosophy, we want to show our office information down here in the bottom. And in fact, the email box doesn't even show anything on here. It's just the phone number. Okay. Going back to our Placester interface, we're going to drop down here to language. This is going to be the shortest section here. Not even sure why they have added this to the site. Your only options here are English, English Canadian, and French Canadian. So if you speak Spanish or Hindi or Mandarin or Japanese or something like that, you're kind of out of luck. If you write content in that language on your site, unfortunately, those aren't options. Not even sure why they have this option on the site. We mostly just ignore it. Under the More section here, we're only going to come down to lead capture. The rest of this we cover in our Placester 201 class, so we definitely recommend that you check that out at slmtraining.com. It's the first thing we pick up on is right here at custom domain. Excuse me, or you can wait until next Wednesday, same time, we'll cover that. Auto-publish is an upgrade feature where they've got a content library that will automatically publish blogs and things on your site for you. That's an upgrade package that you would want to contact Placester directly about. We don't have any information about it, about how much it costs, what kind of content they have, whatever. Placester would have that information. Underneath that, we've got possibly one of the most, or excuse me, definitely one of the most important sections of the website here. The two functions of your website are to allow people to search for homes and to collect leads for you as the agent. We've got the search for homes section down in the IDX integration, making sure people can search all the listings in your area. The lead capture section here is making sure that leads get to you as the agent. We've got two main sections here where we're choosing our lead capture style and then forwarding information for our leads. For the lead capture style, on the free Placester account here, you've got two options. Passively capture leads, which means visitors to your site can view as many property details as they want without being forced to fill out a contact information form. Other than that, we've got aggressively capture leads, which means visitors to your site can't view any property details without filling out a pop-up form that will force them to fill out their information before they see any property details. Neither of these is perfect. So if I were an agent, there's an option from Placester. It's an upgrade package that I believe starts at $90 a month. If I were an agent, I would seriously consider checking out this upgrade package that would allow me to customize these lead capture settings. I would do something personally, and this is just me, I would do something like after X number of property details viewed, then pop up the lead capture form. After maybe 3 or 4 property details viewed, pop up the lead capture form that says, okay, you viewed so-and-so number of properties. To continue looking, fill out this contact form, something like that. So I would recommend looking into that. You would want to contact Placester directly about that. We don't have any information about how to sign up for it, what else is included. Just make sure to contact Placester. They know about their own packages. Down here at the bottom, we've got this section for lead forwarding. These are the email addresses that are going to be notified when a lead comes into your website. You definitely want to put in your regular everyday email address so that you get notified immediately when a lead comes into your site. And then this other one that's over here, separated by a comma, has to have a comma here. You can have a space afterwards, but you have to have the comma. No semicolon, no colon, no line break, no enter, no anything else. Has to be a comma. And then you want to put in your e-edge address. Your e-edge address is really easy to find, and the reason that we put it in here is so that leads from your Placester site automatically get added into your e-edge database as a contact. Without your e-edge address in here, that won't happen. You would have to manually add them into e-edge one by one. To find your e-edge address, it's really easy to do. We're going to come back to our MyKW homepage, and in our e-edge control panel, we're just going to go into e-edge, whichever way you feel most comfortable. I like to do view contacts. And then once our e-edge interface loads, up in the top right, let me zoom in just a little bit. Come on, there we go. Going to go to account and then my account. And then in here, it'll tell you your e-edge email. It's the one that ends in @kwrealty.com. So you want to copy this, come back over to Placester, and paste it in after a comma after your regular email address. And then you can also add additional email addresses in here if you're a member of a team and you want your lead agent to see your leads. If you've got a lead coordinator on your team, you want them to be able to portion out leads, you can do that. Say you've got a different CRM, maybe Top Producer or Conversion or Boomtown. Most of those, I believe, have a lead capture email that you would put in here instead of your e-edge email. You would want to contact each of those vendors and see what that lead forwarding email is. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to get it for you. We don't work with those CRMs. You would want to contact Top Producer or Conversion or Boomtown or something. Someone says, I assume there should be spaces after the commas. In my perfect world, I wouldn't put a space, just to not potentially confuse the system. The system is expecting a comma. I don't think it hurts to have a space, but when I'm putting them in, I don't include a space. It's up to you. Just to be safe. So once you've got both of those email addresses in there and anything else that you want in this section for anybody else that you want to be notified of leads that come into your site, make sure you click on Save to apply that to your site. It's going to pop up here in the top right. Your lead capture settings have been saved. It's not going to dismiss this like it does on every other section on the site. You actually have to just click outside of it to leave it. So that's it for our Placester 101 course. This is the basic setup of your site, getting it launched, getting ready for clients to start using. Definitely encourage you to check out our Placester 201 course. We're going to be doing that next Wednesday, same time. It's also already recorded at slmtraining.com. I'm going to send you guys over a couple of links here. There's that if you want to learn more about our support services. There's that if you want to be able to connect your custom domain to your website. And then I'm going to leave the recording open for another minute or two for anybody that has questions. Definitely feel free to shoot them over in the chat window there. I'll be here for another minute or two to answer those questions. Don't be shy. Someone else probably has the same question that you have, so definitely send them over. But if you don't have any questions or you're not curious about other people's questions, feel free to go about your day. I'll be here for another minute or two.